Hello, welcome back. My name is Faye, and you're with Your Heart's Path, and we are already in the month of June. I feel excited to be here with you today. We're going to explore some themes that are surfacing not just within the collective consciousness, but in your own experience too. So, whilst this is a reading for all, I want you to feel like this has been personalized for you, where you give yourself an opportunity to check in with your own being and allow for your own intuition to potentially even give you further information, allow for things to be reorganized, for clarity to surface, but also just to create these lovely little pockets of awareness. So, is that if you find yourself experiencing these themes this month, you can be super present and work with this energy in the best way possible. We do have some lovely opportunities and I'd say some intense currents that we have felt like we've kind of been battling the last couple of months. I know a lot of you have reported to me that you sort of feel at your end's tether. I know for myself personally, I've been pulling every little tool and resource out of my toolkit. I'm really having to apply those daily just to feel like I have pockets where I'm sailing smoothly. And we start the very month, I heard Spirit say right at the beginning, this lovely line around we start the month with a feeling of like, I'm going to give this one last shot. And that might be showing up for you in different areas of your life to somebody else. This could be a business related piece, that could be a friendship related piece, it could just be an injury or something that you've been managing. And we've sort of arrived at this place where the heat and perhaps the frustration, the anger boiled up, and our fuse is feeling a little short. We do still have this heat, this energy, this passion, and this kind of illumination of the results that it is that you might want in your life or where you're directing things. But we're also moving towards this space where some of you will be letting go of these pieces, perhaps of projects, relationships, I'm going to say like attachment to material things. It might even be the house that you're living in. There's a letting go for some of you, and for others, this one last shot will take you into that space where you've been perhaps working with a long-term vision, where you're picking the fruits of your labor, so to speak. So I'm going to encourage you all to give it one last shot. If you sort of got that burst of energy, it can kind of feel like it comes up. And what I like about this is that the performance element has been removed out in this. I feel like, you know, when you're kind of in like running around and say you get invited to dinner last minute and it's your favorite restaurant and some of your favorite people, but you've only got 15 minutes to get ready and leave the house. So instead of kind of popping all your makeup on and, you know, refining yourself in a way where you feel like you're presentable, you just kind of chuck some things on and go with how you feel, and you get there and you realize that, you know, you haven't done your hair, or you've got odd socks on, and there's kind of a sweetness about that. There's this feeling of kind of like letting go of the stuff that really doesn't matter. We do have an emphasis here on beauty. I feel like that's changing. I can see this like purple line through the collective consciousness, or the soup, so to speak, where I feel like narratives are being rewritten there. And I want to congratulate you all, because I feel like there's been a real push, push against the pull to really bring back natural, organic beauty, to really work on what's going on inside, to create that lovely radiance on the outside. I feel like we've switched over directions there. I know that there was almost like a shadowy element that started to pull back almost to those same patterns that were there very loud in the 90s and early 2000s around that twiggy shaped body. And I think we pushed back against some of this negativity and have stayed really firm in this intention around health and taking up space in your own vehicle, and beauty and radiance being something that comes from a generous and kind heart, that comes from your authenticity, where your soul essence is really shining through. And so what I love about this, like, let's go out with a bit of a bang, let's just give this one more shot, I'm just going to give it a go, that kind of a feeling, is that we leave space in that not just for the outside stuff, but almost this feeling of like I don't really have any expectations anymore. I feel like a lot of us have been like all of that expectation piece, like it's all been sort of shaken off. And underneath all of that, we really start to see part of our why, part of why you're in the relationship, part of why you're doing the job that you do, part of why you want to pursue your artistic hobbies, part of why you feel like traveling, part of why you want to live somewhere different. It's these conversations, perhaps you've had like an intuitive pull, but you haven't really known your why yet. And I really believe that that part is surfacing. They are bringing attention to the physical body. I feel like there has been challenges there, and we've been looking for new language. Some of you have been trying new modalities. Others are further educating yourselves right now. Some of you kind of just feel like you're going back to your roots, like the things that you used to do when you were children before food was a bit more poisoned and things. It almost feels like a simplification there. I feel like it almost feels romantic to slow down and to prep your own dinners. And there's something really soothing in that experience when it comes to health and well-being and kind of going back to the basics. It's really interesting to me here because I feel like there's again, we've had like kind of currents of illusion and the direction of health that have been perhaps more manufactured to it almost feels like the robotic approach. And I kind of sense we're coming back to the body's intelligence here. And for some of you, you've just been in a space where you've been supporting and nourishing your being for long enough that you're beginning to see results. That can be just like taking a new supplement, and it takes, 6 to 8 weeks to kind of, for the benefits of that to show up in your life. I'm seeing a lot of this around sleep for some of you, for that starting to actually improve. Injuries kind of healing, or just new modalities and things that you're trying and experiencing and exploring, beginning to like the fruits beginning to blossom in that space there. So what I like about this is it sort of starts to shift the atmosphere. It feels like where it might have been cloudy, stormy, where you felt like you couldn't see ahead because you got to fix this problem here with the physical body, the survival piece. It gives you that momentum to begin to explore what's been, almost, I don't want to say take you out of the present moment, but what's beyond the present moment. Because we are moving into a space where I can see we've been semi kind of blocked or blinded to the future vision. You can be treasuring old experiences that were given to you, say, partway through last year, but we haven't had a whole lot of new vision coming through. We are moving into a space where some of those ideas are beginning to drop down from a known space and starting to give you some pictures, some shapes. We'll be able to feel a little bit more essence as to what's next, what direction, where are we heading. And for some of you, I think that means that we need to start to take some action as well. So whilst there is great need for pockets of rest, and you might have found that over the last sort of 8 to 10 weeks, you might have had periods where you felt a little lazy or a little like, gosh, I've got all this, I have been resting a lot, or I've been sleeping a lot. We've had a lot of light coming in, a lot of information, a lot of transformation. There's been a lot of death, purging, letting go. It's really normal as far as an ascension symptom goes to actually need that time out. It can feel very overwhelming very quickly for you as a sensitive, empathic being. If you're constantly stimulated, or if you're not getting that rest, it's kind of like the body needs its opportunity to catch up with that experience. And so you'll be guided into periods of just almost like solitude, I feel, this month, just carving out an hour or two here or there for you. But we are going to have a little bit more energy, which is really nice. So if you don't have clarity at the moment as to what it is that you're working with, even if that's just starting to, it's almost like if you were to create like a statement around your intention, even if that's to awaken your consciousness, to improve your overall health and well-being, to love yourself more deeply. I feel like it can be very potent to have a statement that you're working towards embodying this month, because there are so many different categories and themes and directions that we can go in right now. And it's kind of like setting sail off into the ocean and kind of going, cool, we're going to explore this new territory. We've got the tools and resources to read the weather so we can navigate this efficiently, but then not really having a place that you're going towards or a direction that you're going in. And you might just find that you end up sort of going in circles. So direction is important, even if it's not a place that you're going to. But this sort of intention can help you come into alignment daily, because it can be one of those times too where you sort of wake up and you can feel a bit like, oh, what is it that I'm doing? What's my purpose right now? What's this experience? What's the point of all this? We can get to those questions quite quickly, because our tolerance, I think, too, is beginning to change. And this is something else that I'd really like to explore. I feel like in this draw towards the natural, towards the organic, towards true radiance, towards authenticity, to the expression of your soul, we have this kind of like less of a tolerance to be in environments or in conversation with those who really struggle with that experience. So this can even be across family dynamics. You might just find this even just in your partnerships and things, that there are certain behaviors that you just kind of can't be around anymore, but there's a change in that. It's not you trying to change or control or to fix anyone at work or to take responsibility for somebody else. It's almost just like, no, I'm just not engaging in that experience anymore. So I like this. I feel like some of you have found your no of late, and I believe that there are opportunities for us to say no this month when we know better. I see that some of you are in an experience where the carrot is almost like dangled in front of you. This can be those who have had a sober period after, almost feel like some of you with addiction and things like that have managed to change your behaviors. It's kind of that like testing point where you're like, oh, am I going to continue on this journey towards clarity, or am I going to go back there where it feels more comfortable and easeful? Because we are in that space where there's still a certain level of discomfort, and in that discomfort we're being shown parts of our story, parts of our memory. A lot of inner child healing work I've noticed, even just in client sessions, there's a little bit of a pattern, and stories from the body that have been ready to be transformed. You can also see this through the element of blood. I've been seeing that bright red blood almost like connecting to ancestry through that experience, through rhythm. I feel like in some sense there's been like a new perspective when it comes to karma in regards to this, and that's that feeling of like, I'm just not tolerating this behavior anymore. That can happen inside of family dynamics where you almost feel yourself more at peace without engaging with the negativity or the inability to be able to move forward, let go, forgive. It's kind of just like there's a part of you that kind of cuts off from that experience, lets it go, is fully done with it. And what you'll find is that there's not this big rush of like relief, but there is a quietness to the outer edge of the aura that happens when we let go of the responsibilities that weren't necessarily ours to hold in the first place. But they're bringing me back to the blood element because I can kind of see it like pumping through the body. I feel like it's drawing me back towards the heart, towards flow, towards rhythm, towards stability. I think things that nurture the heart this month are really supportive. It gives us that sense of comfort through the discomfort, where the visions haven't yet fully appeared, but they will, where the direction is beginning to come in, where we're connecting with ourselves. Heart brings us into relational energy as well. So where we connect with community, where we feel a connection to the trees, to the animals, to life, the obstacles, towards unconditional love. All of these pieces are kind of being refined. I kind of gain a sense that for some of you, it's like a feeling of like the clouds lift and you can see things a little bit more clearly or from a little bit more of a distance. So you're able to consciously work with your own beliefs, your own behavior in a way that feels a little bit more smooth, a little bit more easeful. And this is a super creative time So, if you like to express yourself creatively or you don't have an outlet for creativity, this is something I would 101 be investing my time and energy in. Again, that can be like back to the basics in the kitchen. This could be an artistic expression. This could be working with clay. This could be poetry. This could be writing. This could be spending time in your garden. These are the sort of opportunities where we feel like a real deep reset. And I feel like for some of you, your greatest epiphanies come in that experience, and it's where you feel most deeply connected to your essence at the moment. And so I'm going to encourage you to nourish yourself with a form of creative expression. And again, it can be helpful just to write that down and have it there as like your little reminder to come back to that piece or to come back to your practice, or without an expectation of it needing to give you anything in return, other than to connect with your own heart and to feel that sense of stability and at homeness here in your body. I feel like this is too like almost the time they show me like passing on the baton. It can actually, what you might experience, especially if you're a mama, or if you have clients, or you're working in an environment where your actions directly affect other people, you can sort of see like the fruits of your labor, or of your hard work benefiting the lives of other people around you. And so it's kind of like the metaphor they're showing me is like growing a really beautiful fruit tree. And it might be that you grow something that you don't necessarily love to eat, but everybody around you is really stoked about it. So they're showing me like apricots, and you pick the apricots and you get to feed your neighbors and your children or your friends, but you get the joy out of making crumble out of it, or preserving jams and gifting that to someone, or putting a box outside the front of your house. And it's almost like the joy comes from the creative, the byproduct of the creativity. So you're nourished by the creativity in itself, by the nurturing energy, by the generosity. That's the part that nurtures you. And then you get to sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor, so to speak, by seeing how that directly positively affects other people. So this is also a really nice time for charity. It's a nice time to, if you're feeling flat or down or a little bit stuck, to have a look at where you could do something nice for somebody else, because we have these little bits of energy that need to be released. Hence, that kind of experience of a lot of rest, a lot of lay time can start to almost put us too much into the mind, into the mental realm. We want to come back into the body this month. And so if we're looking at that experience, it could be, how could I possibly contribute today? How could I help someone today? And I mean this in simple ways, but I also feel like this, smiling, saying hi, having a conversation with the old man that you run into outside the shops who you can sense and feel is lonely. But I also feel like this is taking a bit of an extra mile as well, going out of your way to directly just light somebody else's day up in a little way. So I don't know, I feel like something about that feels really nourishing to me. It kind of gives you an opportunity to drop the tension from your body as well. We've been asking big questions about purpose. Why am I here? Am I on the right path? And instead of looking for that with the mind, the body will begin to show you as you relax, as you soften, as you create space to connect with other people, and your essence will shine through in that space of generosity, inside of contribution. And I feel that this is where, some of you might have been heading in a particular direction and you've been course corrected, or you give it this one last shot and you find like, okay, we're letting this go now. What you'll actually find is that there's this big sense of liberation out the other side of that, or the tension drops from your body, or you stop grinding your teeth at night and you actually might find that there's all of this room and this space, because you're not holding and pushing and forcing, that you create this really awesome opportunity for miracles to kind of drop into your life right now. Maybe you've applied for 1,000 jobs and you just apply for that 1,001 and all of a sudden you get your dream job. This is that kind of energy this month. Expect the unexpected. And we do have the bit of explosive energy. I think for some of you it can feel a bit like you've had 2 or 3 different songs playing all at once. And so it's about stopping, pausing, making a decision about which one you want to tune into based on how it makes you feel. based on the rhythm, the momentum, how much energy you've got. And this has a lot to do with our health and well-being at the moment. So our capacity to be able to energize projects, or you're not necessarily going to go and learn to run a marathon if you've got bad knees or something. But it's kind of an experience where we can sort of feel like a bit of explosive energy showing up this month. So it's kind of like I'm seeing like volcanoes and big energy sort of bursting up from below our feet. And if we can use our intention to direct that explosive, transformative energy, we can also use it to, I'm going to say transform, but I'm seeing like burning out things that you don't want to take forward. This is behavioral, but it's also thought forms. We've got to be so diligent with the mind at the moment. And for those of you who have felt like, especially out the other side of like Gemini season and all the rest of it, if you feel like your mind has kind of got the better of you, or it's ticking, it's time to kind of like refocus and just recurb. Nice time to bring in your affirmations of things, of humming, of music, and turning off two of those channels so that you can really tune into the rhythm and the momentum that works for your body. Regardless of your circumstances or who else is in your life, the pattern, the way that they move. This is almost like the difference between how a male and a female body works, or how a mother and a partner are operating and functioning. We're all a little different there, and so there's an opportunity to create a little bit more harmony and to put in some of these rhythms that create new routines and rituals that kind of just become that like deep rhythmic beat that you can hear and feel every day, that brings you back into your body. And then slowly we can start adding other flavors, other textures, other bits. I feel like we almost have like a singular focus this month, and that singular focus can direct you towards a space where you might be ready for new learnings. I can see some of you taking on like a degree, having a look at what courses and things are available to you. And this might not be so that you can become a practitioner in something. It might just be that you'd like a new tool or a way to be able to train and focus your mind. And so you go and learn some new meditation techniques or something. Again, I think a creative expression as well. If you don't have one of those, a wonderful time to learn something that you could even just do on repeat. Okay. Just having a little swim through. I feel this like real big need for the stability of like that crone energy at the moment as well. I feel like there's a calling, like I can see the crows and the blackbirds and like the birds in the sky, those with the bird's eye view, being called to nurture, called into roles, called into responsibilities. It's that real sort of ancient feminine energy. I can see this through deities, mythology, bringing new language and lived experience that might not even have words, that offers a transmission that can begin to cool some of this heat, some of this explosive energy, so that we can feel a sense of safety again back in the body. And I feel like we've been having a lot of conversation around safety, environments or atmospheres where we feel safe, where we don't, where we need more tools, where we've got ample tools but we're a little stuck. There's kind of been this what do I want to say? Oh, almost like the duality, right? Or just feeling unsettled. And there's an organized energy that comes through when we can lean into the wisdom of those who have lived these experiences, or into the stories where the mythology and the symbols create a peace inside of the system. This is like having a conversation with the tree, telling it your problems, your thoughts, the things that you're struggling with, and sitting in silence and just kind of allowing for the atmosphere to create space and calmness in your body and your being, versus going and having a conversation with an old school friend. I sort of feel like the crone energy is beginning to be, almost feel like that it's being assigned a new role. You might find that that's sort of like the 60, 70, 80-year olds are kind of being given new contracts right now to serve in new ways, because I feel like, especially in the Western world, we've looked towards our elders and they haven't been visible. We haven't been able to find them or see them or learn from them. So I feel that this too is part of that, like the dropping of the masks, the where true beauty is, what you find with somebody who's been doing the work for a really long time, as they're very settled in their essence when they've gone through that transformation later on in life, where that crone energy comes into fruition. So it can be very stabilizing and very nourishing to spend time with the older generation. It's not to say that crone is old, but with that wisdom. There's this soothing element I feel like we're looking for this month, the kind of nurturing energy. And our faith has been really deeply tested. So this is like kind of having conversations with Source or the Divine or with your spirit guides and not yet hearing anything back, and kind of going, all right, well, I trust that it's been heard. Or you've been praying for something for months and months and you felt like nothing's really shown up in response. But all of a sudden you start to have these experiences this month where where your genuine expression and conversation and devotion to the divine, where it comes to your faith, you'll start to see little periods of essence. But this requires us to be present as well. I think we're almost finished. I wrote a little note here around tolerance. I feel like we have definitely touched on that. Our tolerance for certain situations, conversations, places, jobs, roles, homes, houses, pressures, responsibilities. Some of that's kind of just dropping away. Was it feeling it was just not worth it anymore? I want to free up space. Whilst life is serious, I don't want to take things too seriously. And I feel like a lot of you are arriving in a place where you're much happier in your own company than you used to be. It's almost like, I've spoken a bit about protecting your peace this month and taking like nice, quiet opportunities just to sort of put your feet up and reflect. Really important that we're watching how much time we're spending on devices, movies, phones. I think this is a period where the addiction to that is kind of surfacing, and we'll notice this through the emotional body more than anything. Kind of just knowing where you're trying to check out, where you're looking to distract yourself. I like this because it's like that experience slows down. You get this opportunity to go, bugger it, I'm going to read my book instead. Or actually, I'm going to make a cup of tea and go and sit on the porch and just watch life as it passes by. But they're quiet moments where we're not filling the mind with more and more information. If you've got time to stop, you might find that previously you just put podcasts on and fill the brain, but it's kind of like the settling space that begins to open. Trust fall, I can see there as well in that experience. Some of you are, moving into a space where I feel like you've got to make a decision about something that requires a great amount of trust. And I think you're getting all of the confidence that you need. It's okay to ask for a sign in regards to this, or, really just to trust that space in between. We spend a lot of time in the void, in the crossing bridges to new realities, and the shape of things is beginning to change. So, I think this is a really beautiful time to be taking positive risks, especially if you're asking the same questions that you've been asking for several years. There's almost like a tapping or like a boredom. Some of that frustration is like, I'm done asking this question. I really need to step out of my comfort zone and go and explore something new and different. And for some of you, that's kind of actually choosing to go, this thing that's been calling me, I actually don't have capacity, and I'm going to let this go. I'm going to let this idea go. I'm going to shut that door and that bridge, and I'm redirecting my energy, to be more supportive of my emotional body. I think capacity is something that we really need to watch. And that's where, if you're spending all of your free time scrolling on the internet and filling up with more information, you're going to be noticing the byproduct of that this month. So I think sacred spaces where you're coming into, I feel like how excited I am around the Coven group that I run. They're the students that have done the House of Mystics, the Psychic and Intuitive Development training. We meet once a month. I can feel how that space is like really wholesome and healing. It doesn't really matter what we go in there to learn or to talk about. It's actually just coming together with like-hearted, like-minded, like-wired people that can offer just like a sense, like a sanctuary for safety and for connection and for intimacy, where you're not pushing and pulling to be, or forcing to be vibrating on the same level as someone. I feel like we've had a lot of like collision when it comes to realities, and there's this feeling of like, all right, let's just let things kind of readjust and resettle. So group spaces, or if you're like enjoying doing your yin classes, or there's a meditation group that you've been invited to, just work with consistency when it comes to these things. Just keep showing up. Drop the expectation. Allow it to be easy. You can show up in your trackies if that's in your capacity. But I feel like there's this willingness to open the heart, to be vulnerable, to express really deeply. I've noticed even like in my own intimate relationship, there's been these lovely like opportunities where perhaps things weren't said out aloud before. That have been really nourishing, just sweet. They feel sort of sentimental, and I think that's the stuff that kind of really matters. Look out for who's jumping in your inbox and sending you a little message that says like, I've been thinking about you, and I hope all is well. I think what we can really sense at the moment is genuinity. We've had a little bit of loss. There's definitely been grief. There's definitely been a challenging time, okay? Like, so if you've been feeling that, you're not alone. But that faith piece is so important, and, reminding yourself why you're here and that it's a school and we've got something beautiful to learn. And sometimes that learning might not be a direct gift to you in your experience, but it is something that you can share, and that is the gift, because there's joy in that experience for you. But I think that there's less resistance to our mission, to alignment, to saying yes. Again, great time to take healthy risks, and connecting with smaller little groups where you feel nourished. That might be your family, that you have a really lovely family dynamic, and you're like, all right, we're committing to dinner every Friday night. We'll do it at one person's house, and we just show up regardless of what's going on. Bring a plate kind of thing. I sort of feel like it needs to be easeful but really deeply nourishing in that way. Photography is a lovely thing. Sort of things that bring you into stillness, where you get to look for the beauty. Our relationship with light and information is transforming and changing, and I kind of feel like photography is almost like a metaphor for the energetics that we've been looking at, going on a bit of a mission, or I'll try this one last time. I'll wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning to see if the aurora's going, and you get up on that last shot and like the skies are beautiful, or going on that horrendous drive to get to that view where you can, see the place from a different perspective. We are working to get to those little peaks in the mountain, but it's worth it, and we are going to start to experience some of the benefits and the positive results in regards to that. So I think that's all in regards to June. Best wishes for some of you starting new projects, and my condolences for those of you who have put projects down, who have made big changes in their life. I think it's worth sort of stating your availability for miracles this month, because things can land and blossom and change your reality very quickly this month, and there's an excitement about that, things that we've been attached to that haven't been healthy can be sort of burnt away very fast with this fiery energy. It's almost about these loads of little micro choices that we're making all the time. That's the momentum I spoke about before, where it's like, no, I'm just going to commit and I'm going to see this thing through and see what happens. I feel like there's our pattern identification is like on point this month. So it's this kind of getting out of our own way and really just choosing to see things as they are. And that's it. I'm going to pause there. We've had a little bit of a break with these readings. I haven't been sure as to whether or not I wanted to continue doing them. Hence, I've had a break for a couple of months. All of my equipment shut itself, from the microphone to the camera so I just kind of let it go for a little bit. I'd love your feedback as to whether or not you're finding this beneficial. If you are, pop a little comment in the comment section below. And for those of you who might be looking for a little bit of a change this month, I have a few weeks left of enrollment into the House of Mystics, which is the Psychic and Intuitive Development School, which is designed as an initiation to help you cross a threshold to feel your beautiful toolbox with all the tools and the resources that you need to build a strong relationship with your spirit guides, with your higher self, with your intuition. Even if your intuition is just something that feels like an instinctual thing that randomly happens, sometimes this course teaches you to create the states where you are able to connect with your intuition at will, to overcome the obstacles to that, and to understand the nature of our reality through the lens of a mystic. And the mystic is wired to move towards truth, to embody truth. It's this call back to authenticity and essence. And I'd say there's an element of service when it comes to that archetype as well. The mystic has a really beautiful relationship with love, and so that means the source of our readings, the source of our information, the source of where we show up from, of where we make decisions from, of who we spend time with, that all of this matters. And this is my life's work. This is really what I needed when I had a very dramatic and traumatic awakening. I had a manic experience that lifted the veils for me, where sight and hearing more than anything came online as a confirmation from what I had been knowing and feeling my whole life. And I'd been looking for answers to questions that I didn't have language for. And through sort of 10 years of trial and error, but also building this relationship with my spirit team, we've been able to design this lovely curriculum that gives you the opportunity to not only build safety when it comes to these practices, but ultimately gives you the discernment to navigate life from a really heart-centered place. And with that comes a deep sense of fulfillment. It doesn't mean we eradicate all of the challenges. I still have those. I still wobble, but what I do notice that when we are going through these periods where we're really being tested and stretched is that there's always a way back to center, and that's what we explore together. There's a lovely community out the other side, so it's not just 3.5 months of study and then off into the world. You're allowed to join the coven afterwards if you wish, where you'll be with all the other students that have done the course as well, and you'll feel the resonance with them, and that lovely meeting that we get to have once a month where we catch up and connect. And it's nourishing in a way that I know a lot of you have been on your spiritual journey and have felt isolated or alone, or that you've struggled to connect. So it is a really beautiful space just in itself to be with like-hearted people. So if you feel called to that, it's kind of crunch time when it comes to enrollment. If you had extra questions you wanted to ask in response to that, you can send me an email or find me on Instagram, and we can organise like a bit of a discovery call. That can just be an option for us to figure out how we can make it possible for you, or just to guide you into a space where you have a bit more clarity as to whether this is a heart calling, or something that you're going to let go. I know some of you most people end up joining because they just have an intuition that they need to be there and they don't know why, and they report back saying it was one of the biggest transformative and positive experiences that they've had. And so it's very humbling for me to receive that. It also gives me the confidence to keep going. So if that is of interest to you, please let me know. Outside of that, there's still mentorships and things available. I'm still doing readings and things. But come July, my availability is obviously a little less, just given that I will be prioritising those in the House of Mystics. It's lovely to see you. I'll send you a big warm cuddle and confidence to keep going on your path. I look forward to seeing you soon, and we'll catch up then. Bye.